Right. Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? And hopefully you're having a good evening. Yeah. Might sort of stream by talking to you guys a bit, so hopefully you guys are up for that. But yeah. So first things is I found my old Mantis warriors. And I wanted to talk to you guys about them. Because honestly, I miss them. I miss them quite a bit, to be honest. Because they're built for the Badab War time period, I guess. Around 6th, 7th edition. And yeah, it's like this guy, the Sergeant, which I just put up. I guess it's using the old metal upgrade kit, so his shoulder pad and this helmet are metal, and so is the gun, I think, yeah. So meant to be an upgrade to a tactical squad in order to make them the veterans, well, the Death Watch veterans. And it's made me realize something. Especially it's like this guy, I'm quite happy with how he turned out. It's like a very old school way of painting Marines. Kind of clean. Not the tidiest work. I mean, I did paint this guy around 5 years ago. And yeah. So looking back on this color scheme, I think I prefer this green and yellow to the color scheme, well, the way we've been doing for Mantis Warrior for this one. It'll be fairly easy for me to change that and update it to be this color. What I wanted to know is, like, from you guys, what do you guys think? Like, obviously, like, in terms of, like, painting standards, I think I've come a fairly long way in the last 5 years. Yeah, what do you guys think of the colors on these Marines? Yeah. So like I said, I've dug up my old Mantis warriors, well, as many of them as I can find today, whilst going through a pile of shame. As turns out, it's not really a very organized pile of shame. I mean, because that's just kind of part of it, isn't it, really? Got a pile of shame. And yeah, it's like the Mark 6 old tactical Marines. With the Mark 3 bolt guns. As using as the white skirt, well, not white skirt, sorry. Mantis Warrior veterans. But I never got around to painting the black like leaf patterns on them. Yeah, it's like not too long ago, so with the I'm not sure if we even streamed it or not, but we did mess around with trying to paint the new Mark 6 as Mantis Warriors. Never really got too far into it. Yeah, I gotta say, through an airbrush, Because this one was mostly painted with an airbrush. The green does look a bit better, I think, for Mantis. It's a bit too bright for my liking still. There's moments like here on the thigh where it does actually look quite nice, I think. Compared to this veteran. There's also just like looking up for marine, so I'll try and find a bit more of a fairer comparison. There we go. There's got to be a better job for comparing the size of marines. Their feet similarly spaced. It's interesting to see how the scale has changed so much on Space Marines. They don't look wildly out of place. Hey Alex, how's it going? And yeah, it's like you compare the size of a head and like the torso and the legs. You can see it has definitely changed scale. Oh yeah, I was just talking about what colour I think looks best for the Mantis warriors. And despite having, you know, changed it, the formula up and different ways of approaching it, I still think this guy, the original Mantis warriors I painted, is still my favourite colour for painting with Mantis warriors. So the main difference is the middle guy and the guy we painted the day before. It's like these two are painted with Mantis warrior green contrast. So this one was with it through an airbrush over white and I think a tiny bit of brown in there. I honestly can't remember. And this one was us brush painting it over white and brown. You can really see the brown if we look at it from a lower angle. Now you compare it to the Mantis warrior I painted years ago. It's a far more like subdued, like bluey green. But I think I still prefer this to this in terms of like the overall shade and color. And what I'm thinking of doing is trying to paint these colors in this style. Because I'm absolutely in love with how this style of painting has come out. Like how the brown and the white make this like really nice like set of colors. Hey Faz. Like I think it works quite well, especially because these are Mantis warriors, like eventually they'd be put on a desert sand base in terms of texture, because their home planet is basically just a generic Middle East looking planet. Although I think it would be fun to see like how this way of painting does look with these colors. Wondering, do I have any sacrificial space marines? we can try out with, because that might be something we do today. Because well, the plan for today was to go through my pile of shame, build some stuff from it, and the two things I found that I definitely need building is a squad of Mark 6 tactical marines, and then a squad of cataphracti terminators. And the issue of the cataphracti, and the reason why I never built them in the first place, was I didn't know which army I was going to put them in. And I've been thinking a lot recently, especially because of the result of this painting stream with this Mantis warrior is, yes, I'm done with playing 40k. I have no intention of playing 40k again. Just because the way the edition's shaped up and the current rule set just isn't fun. If I wanted to play 40k, I may as well go and play a trading card game. Especially one which is over, like, you know, has outgrown its, like, common sense, like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, ones that are overly complex trading card games. I can play that instead of 40k and still get, like, the same kind of satisfaction and feel. But the thing is, I still really love, like, certain aspects of 40k. And whilst obviously I could just collect miniatures, you know, that wild concept. For me personally though, I kind of have to have a justification for having miniature models because they take up space. And part of that is these are ultimately playing pieces. These are designed for, you know, to use in a game. So if I'm using them in a game, then I have a reason to have them. If I'm not playing them in a game, then there's no reason for me to have them. And I have a Battle Demi company in 7th edition terms, 40k 7th edition terms, of Mantis warriors. I have 3 tactical squads, 2 troops, a fast attack, a heavy support, and an elite choice. I have everything I need to play an army, a game of, well, 7th edition. But I'm not that far off having the models needed to play a game of Horus Heresy with my Mantis warriors. I know, like, they didn't exist for 8,000 years more after the end of a Horus Heresy. But at the same time, it's like they wear predominantly Mark 4 and Mark 6 armor anyway, canonically. A few bits of Mark 5 production variants in there as well, but mostly it's, you know, Mark 5 in the terms of it's a mix of whatever. You know, like this is Mark 5. You know, it's like why my veteran squad, which I never got around to finish painting, is in Mark 6, but the old school Mark 6. And I think it's like I put up a tweet today asking people, as you know, you should always get your opinions from Twitter. You know, so it's the one-stop shop for, you know, getting the right opinion on things, right? Yeah, I've asked Twitter, would they mind playing against an army which is of a Space Marine chapter and not the Legion, so, you know, a successor chapter of a Space Marine Legion. And so far, 84% of people who have answered the poll on Twitter have said they would not mind. They'd have no issue with it. And I think that's quite cool to see people being that surprisingly chill. I mean, also, it would be a loyalist Space Marine chapter fighting against a traitor Legion. You know, that's a fight that could happen at any time in history, right? So just because it's the Horus Heresy rule set doesn't necessarily mean it has to be during the Horus Heresy in that sense. and also over on my wonderful Discord community. I asked you guys as well. Hey Mick, how's it going? What do you think about the idea of using successor Space Marine chapters in the Horus Heresy? And it's a 50-50 tie between would play against them and don't care. In other words, it's 100% in favor of people doing that. And, you know, it's like, you know, getting confirmation from strangers is all well and good. And, you know, it's nice to feel like, yes, I'm doing something that's not going to be, you know, hated on immediately. But, you know, it's like I've asked for people whose opinions it does actually kind of matter, which is for people I actually play games against, and my local gaming club. And so far, everyone seems happy with the idea, likes the idea, or is against it fundamentally because I'd be playing them as White Scars, not that they're Mantis Warriors. So, yeah. What the plan is going to be, I think, is that, because I love my boys, I love them a lot, is I'm going to build a White Scar army. And yeah, of course, like, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh yes, these guys are at the Siege of Terror. You know, no, it's I'm playing a game with my Mantis Warrior army. We're going to set it in the M38, well, M38 point whatever post we founding. It just happens to be about fighting using a more Legion-esque style of doctrine, because that's what Luft Huron taught them to do. So like, that's one of the things as well about the Badab War is a lot of how the Badab War successor chapters fought was a lot like the Legions, coincidentally. Like, you had 20-man tactical squads and stuff. So yeah, basically, I need to sit down with you guys and work out what would be a fun way to convert my Mantis Warrior army from 40k into a playable Heresy list as White Scars. And it's one of those things I've been kind of putting off. And still kind of thinking about. And it's like one of the reasons why I've been kind of so indecisive when it comes to building and adding new stuff to my Warhammer armies. You guys probably noticed, or will now realize now I've said it, but I haven't done a Horus Heresy hobby stream like properly in a while, outside of painting like one or two individual models for my Emperor's Children. Like, it hasn't been like a serious one, like we build a tank or a dreadnought or entire squads of stuff in a while. And it's because I haven't been sure what to do with those things. And, you know, I'm going to keep slowly funneling more and more stuff onto the hobby desk for a moment, just to highlight. The dilemma. Yeah, it's like also, you know, talking about different colors. I can't recreate this color scheme because the paint needed specifically to make this green work destroys my airbrush every single time. So I can't do that color scheme. So the Mantis Warriors are a successor chapter of the Marauders. Which is in turn a successor chapter of the White Scars. So thematically, if I want to run them as authentically as possible, I should probably run them as White Scars. Because also, it's like, this is another thing as well, I was already using Forge World White Scar parts. And yeah, this, like, all of these guys need to be stripped down and repainted however we end up deciding to do them. Yeah, it's like, in terms of like tactics and how the Legion fight and operates. It's mostly ambush tactics. It's like, to talk about the like inspiration and the origins of the Mantis warriors. They are heavily based off the Hashashin, you know, the Middle Eastern guys that inspired the whole concept of assassins. So, like, a good frame of reference for these guys would actually be hilariously to play the Assassin's Creed games. And like, that's like where their inspiration comes from. More specifically, towards the end of the existence of the Hashashins, when the Mongolians invaded and occupied the territory. So if we are to, like, you know, start to theme these guys, and, you know, we are going to have to cut some models up, I think. Also, I found my old Shrike model as well. So, wasn't the best paint job I ever did. It's not exactly the worst either. Oh yeah, White Scars and Ambush is basically the direction I need to go in for these guys. You know, I need to bring the camera up a bit. There we go. I also need to work out what stuff's actually usable or not. Also, I have the White Scar Praetor, which I also started to paint up in the Mantis Warriors colours way back when. He's magnetized, so I can put a jump pack or a backpack on him. I'm just not sure where either of those are at the moment. Let's try and sort them out into their squads. Okay, so I'm missing one of the veterans. Random question, but any tips on working with resin since I've never used it before? Well, with resin, firstly you want to wash your models. So yeah, funnily enough, one of the options for today was us going to have been working with resin. Well, two of them were, actually. But you guys didn't vote for it. Also, if you're watching here and you want on a Discord server, make sure to join the Discord server. Discord decides what I do on hobby days. and you guys decided pile of shame, and well, here we are. But yeah, it's like one of the things we needed to work on was a certain Primarch model, but you guys didn't vote for that, so yeah, that would have been a good model to have gone over whilst talking about resin. But yeah, wash the model first. Make sure you scrub it clean of any of the powdered lubricant on it. You may not notice there's any there, but I guarantee there is. It will stop glue from sticking to it, and it will stop paint from sticking to it. Even primers will struggle to stick to the surface of an unwashed resin model. Secondly, you're using super glue on your to make your resin models, but it's also a good idea to scratch the surface of the contact points, both so it's like if you're attaching an arm, put some small scratches with a knife or some very rough sandpaper on the contact point on the arm and on the torso. So more surface area you can create, the more rough and bumpy it is, the better the glue has, or well, better chance the glue has of actually sticking to those parts. And yeah, make sure you're using a proper primer to actually prime the models as well. That's also an incredibly important part of models. Hey Windows 95, how's it going? And thanks. So these are my Mantis warriors. So we're going through my pile of shame at the moment and discussing what I want to do with my Mantis warriors. So they're a 40k army, but I don't play 40k. Well, not anymore anyway. I kind of stopped a few editions back. But yeah. Trying to work out what to do with all the boys. And what I've been thinking about doing is just running them in Horus Heresy as White Scars. As the White Scars are their parent legion. Hey Hamish, how's it going? But yeah, Maximilian made a good point as well. In terms of like how they play, it might be better to play them as Alpha Legion, because that does actually suit their way of fighting quite well. So, yeah, I'm gonna let you guys help decide what we do here. Because I'm personally leaning towards not playing them as Alpha Legion. Simply because I have Alpha Legion. I already have Alpha Legion forces. In fact, you guys probably should remember that we painted some not too long ago on stream. With this amazing color shifting paint. And there's also something I've noticed about my armies. And that is, I don't have a single loyalist legion. I have, quotation marks loyalist legions. The Alpha Legion. But I don't have any loyalist legions, like outright loyalist. There's also, it's like for me as well, there's like, you know, the Death Guard units, which I'm not really going to end up using. Which could be, you know, put into this army as well. Because the aesthetics of the Mantis Warriors is kind of keep it simple, keep it plain. And it's like their main, like, rivals, so to speak, during the Badab War were the Raptors. And why would I want a Loyalist Legion? Good question. The answer is, A, these aren't actually that loyal, are they? It's the Mantis Warriors, you know, famous for fighting against the Loyalist forces during the Badab War. Secondly, because a lot of my friends play Traitor Legions. It's like one of my friends, like closest friends I regularly play games with, she collects Iron Warriors. One of my other friends I regularly play games with plays Traitor Mechanicum. The other guy plays Thousand Suns. And then I have another Thousand Suns player I'm friends with. I'm trying to think, is it a word bearer player? I'm trying to think now if I'm actually friends with any Loyalist Legion players. There's a couple that attend my local gaming club. I'm not sure I'd say I'm friends with them. I've played games with them, familiar with them, and talked to them. I'm not sure I'd consider them friends. But yeah, all of my friends play Traitor Legions, thinking about it. So yeah, that's the reasoning, basically. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of Marines missing here. I'm missing one of the Tranquility veterans. Missing 2 of the new Mark 6. I'm missing... well, let's throw a heavy weapon squad guys in. So you belong in there. And you in here. Okay, so I've got 2 quotation marks Mark 7 tactical squads. Not that anyone's really wearing standardized Mark 7. My Mark 4 tactical squad is missing two Marines. So I still need to find a few. Service rank. Oh, I have a Devastator squad, which is missing its sergeant. I think one of these is from, actually. I think he's meant to be the sergeant for the... So yeah, missing a few Marines, but yeah. Oh no, I feel fairly blessed with my friend group. They're all just amazing people. Right. It's like the... Do you remember this boy? The Death Guard Contemptor? You notice how he's still just black primed? You know, he could quite easily slot into this army. And Contemptors in Mantis Warriors colors just look objectively cool. And then, whilst he's somehow managed to shed an arm, the Leviathan, which is genuinely collecting dust. Because that was for a World Eater army, which I'm never gonna do. Sorry, spoilers. I have enough minis, I don't need to be starting a World Eater army. You know, it's like this could quite easily be done as part of this army as well. And I think it would make a lot of sense thematically as well. It was a very like lore and nature of Leviathan Dreadnoughts. And, you know, the last stand that the Mantis Warriors were really making thematically ties in quite well. Oh yeah, it's like also a model which I don't think I've shown off before. But in terms of like Alpha Legion, here's my Armelius Dynat model. It's actually giving us an opportunity to kind of see the colour shifting. Yeah, I have Alpha Legion. I don't think I need to do a second quotation marks Alpha Legion army. So, yeah, what do you guys think of this idea then? This concept of making a, you know, a 40k army but for Horus Heresy. Great idea, 40k is boring. Yeah. Get that. So what I'm gonna quickly do is I'm gonna go and grab the Ligi, what is it, the Liber Astartes book, the Loyalist book. So I can have a quick look through it and get some ideas of what we want to do. So behave and don't do anything naughty in chat, okay? Okay, well, it looks like you all behaved. Which I'm somewhat surprised but pleasantly pleased to see. So yeah, it's like a particular Horus Heresy model, which I think would look really good in this in the Mantis Warrior's color, is the Laser Destroyer Vindicator. I think that would look really good. I've been meaning to get my hands on one of those for a while now. As I just found a bunch more of the White Scar heads as well. Hey Dave, how's it going? Warhammer the Old Order books, Tomb Kings and Betonia Army supplements, you know when they're coming back on sale. I do not, I'm afraid. As much as I'd love to be in a position where Games Workshop would tell me those things, I'm unfortunately not. If you need to have a look through the Bretonian one, I do have that one. If you want to have a look through it. But yeah, for now, we are talking heresy. Also, hey, well, good to see you around. Well, that was entirely accidental, but convenient. We managed to turn straight to the White Scars. Let's have a look through the list and some ideas what to do. Okay, so for White Scars, advanced reaction may be paid once per battle during the opposing player's movement phase, when the enemy unit ends a move with any of its models within 12 inches of any model in a friendly unit under the actual player's control with the Legion to start its White Scar special rule. Once the enemy moves, that triggers this reaction is completely resolved. All friendly units composed entirely of models, the Legion to start its White Scar special rule. Within 12 inches of the enemy unit's final position may immediately make a normal move. Such units may choose to activate jump packs to increase its movement, but may not choose to run. This move is subject to all normal penalties for difficult terrain, dangerous terrain. Units that are pinned, locked in combat, otherwise unable to move, may not move due to this reaction. Cool, that actually sounds very thematic for the Mantis Warriors. The Legion trait. All models of this special rule add +1 to their movement characteristics, and whenever called upon to make a roll to determine which player will take the first turn or seize the initiative, controlling player of any army whose primary attack has a special rule may roll an additional dice and discard the lowest rolled dice before determining the result. That again is incredibly thematic for the Mantis Warriors. One of the things the Mantis Warriors used to get as a unique gimmick was the ability to re-roll to seize the initiative. Okay, so White Scars sound like it's actually going to be quite good. White Scar Warlord traits. Heroes never die, Born to the Saddle, and Forgotten Sons. Yeah, Forgotten Sons might be an interesting one, depending on how it actually goes. You know, actually, that's a good point. Forgotten Sons would be really funny and really good if I ended up making a Astral Claws army at some point. That's something to keep in mind, but not what we'll focus on for now. Heroes never die. Warlord may own the Loyalist Legions, a Warlord of this trait, and all models in any unit he joins gains a stubborn special rule. Furthermore, if a Warlord is removed as casualty, all models in any friendly unit, an entirely model of Legionary Starty special rule, White Scars, for which one or more models control line of sight to a Warlord, point 20 is missing, gains a fearless special rule for the remainder of the battle. In addition, an army whose Warlord trait has its trait makes an additional reaction during the opposing player's assault phase as long as the Warlord is not its casualty. When did the Bad Ab War have rules? The Imperial Armor books 9 and 10, I think it was, which was around 5th edition and 6th edition. They had their own chapter tactics, chapter traits in 6th and 7th edition. And in 7th edition, it was very entertaining to play White Mantis Warriors because of how badly written some of the rules were at the time. Meaning you could take the Mantis Warriors chapter traits, but then also have access to a White Scars Angels of Death supplement stuff, which made for a very aggressive and very devastating bike army, accidentally. Because you're able to stack rules in such a way that your bikes could move through cover, move through terrain without taking the dangerous terrain test, and also gain additional charge bonuses for doing so. Which is a very well thought out and very clever and not at all colossal fuck up by the Games Workshop writing team. But yeah, the Mantis Warriors are about ambush. Think about what a praying mantis is like in real life. So and I think because of like the stubborn last stand nature of their defining actions during the Bad Ab War, like I mean, it's like one of the most famous pieces of artwork of the Mantis Warriors is that one guy making his last stand against the ridiculously oversized Tyberos image, right? I think most people have seen that, right? That fan art of like a Tyberos Redwake who's like taller than a fucking Primarch for some reason, and a Mantis Warrior with one arm stood in front of him. Oh yeah, speaking of which, Born to the Saddle, the next Warlord trait. This Warlord and all models in the same army of the Legionia Astartes White Scar special rule, and the Cavalry unit type ignore all effects of difficult terrain, and gain the 4+ invulnerable save against all wounds inflicted by failed dangerous terrain tests they are called upon to make. In addition, an army whose Warlord has this trait may make an additional reaction during the opponent player's movement phase as long as the Warlord has not been removed as a casualty. That's basically just what I was just saying about the 7th edition chapter tactics, right? Also, would be very fun to use against Hamish's Death Guard. It's like, oh, cool, you bring in a Rite of War that makes everything dangerous and difficult terrain, huh? Okay. Bet. Just charge down Hamish's Death Guard destroyer squads with my jet bikes and regular bikes. Okay, so building an army of bikes would obviously be like a go-to White Scar list, and a fairly traditional one. And is definitely viable with like how you'd play Mantis Warriors back in the day. The Chagorian Brotherhood. Favoured by the Chagorian recruits of 5th Legion as the ideal organisation of fighting body of troops, Brotherhood was also accompanied by many of the Legion's Terran warriors, composed of a body of legionnaires mounted entirely on fleet warbikes, scimitar jet bikes, or in other transport vehicles. These formations were ideal for harrying campaigns of lightning strike warfare. When faced with a dug-in foe, some elements of Brotherhood would dismount to fight on foot, moving to encircle the enemy and support their brethren. Now that sounds quite Mantis Warriors-y. So, Legion Skyhunter Squadrons and Legion Outrider Squadrons may be selected as troop choices in a detachment using this Rite of War, and such units gain the Line unit subtype. Legion Skyhunter Squadrons and Legion Outrider Squadrons may also be selected as elite choices in a squad in a detachment using this Rite of War, though these units do not gain the Line subtype. All models with the infantry unit type in this detachment using this Rite of War gain the Outflank special rule. Now that would be a lot of fun for a Mantis Warrior army. Like, not for the jet bike spam, but for the ability to outflank all of your troops. It's like, that's one of the big things for me that makes the Emperor's Children Maru Scara Rite of War so fun, is the ability to outflank a unit of, melee specialists into the enemy's deployment zone. So that's definitely a fun idea. Any unit made entirely of models of the infantry unit detachment of this Rite of War that does not begin embarked on a model with a transport type, or any model with a vehicle unit type without either transport fast signals, must begin play in reserve if the mission allows it. If the mission does not allow units to be placed into reserve, so long as the detachment is instead deployed as normal. Okay, cool. A detachment using this Rite of War may not include any heavy support or fortification choices, as those choices are entirely composed of models with flyer subtype. Yeah, that could work. Although I feel like Devastator squads, sorry, heavy tactical support squads, would be fairly important to a Mantis Warrior army. The other Rite of War that they have is the Sagyar Mazan, So Ebon Keshig cohorts may be taken as troop choices in a detachment with this rate of war. All units composed entirely of models with the infantry unit type in this detachment using this rate of war must be given both the Karash and the Feel No Pain special rules. For making the heroic last stands, that sounds a lot of fun. All models with both the Legione Astartes, the White Scars, and Karash special rules in a detachment using this rate of war gain the Fearless special rule for the duration of any assault phase in which they make a successful charge. Yeah, that also works. The limitations. An army with this attachment using this rite of war may not choose to place any units into reserve, and as such is unable to perform a deep stroke assault, subterranean assault, or a flanking assault. A detachment using this rite of war may not include any heavy support that are not entirely composed of models of the infantry unit type, or fortification, or Primarch choices, or regardless of the unit type. Well, that gives us our Devastators. And one thing I do know is I want to have a Stormseer, because the Mantisaurians used to have a unique character, because Adster Redif, who was their chief librarian. And I'd very much like to make a model representing him and have him as part of the army. So that makes a lot of sense to have a Stormseer. And the Storm's Fury. Discipline looks like it would be quite fun for Azar Redif as well, because he was a master of the winds, so either that or Divination would be the correct ones for him. Okay, so Ebon Keshig Iron Tartarus armor. Okay. Oh, is there something condition of this? Oh, it's a 185. Any ideas for a Horus Heresy librarian are you going forward on? I need to reread the descriptions of Azra Redif and see how directly I can translate his war gear into the Horus Heresy and then decide from there how I want to reflect that as a model. Yeah, I think building the Mantisauri army around the Sagia Mazan rite of war would make sense, right? You know, it's all about, you know, the veterans and survivors of the Badab War fighting their heroic last stands and atoning for their sins. So that's kind of what the Mantisaurians are about. Yeah, so you can kind of see how the Mantisaurian lore just fed back directly into the White Scars for Horus Heresy, which is not really surprising. So the Karash, let's read the lore for it. The Karash is both an ancient tactic of Chagorus and a sacred oath of defiance. Those that accept the burden of such a position are pledged to die, to fight without regard for survival and seek only to kill as many of the foe as possible before they are dragged down. Those that survive in the service for Karash are hailed as heroes among White Scars, warriors destined for greatness, and those that fall are forgiven. All sins and remembered only with honor for their sacrifice. That just sounds like in summary of what the Mantisaurians were like post Badab War. Well, after they surrendered and switched sides, I guess, is the best way of putting it, once they realised that we're fighting alongside forces of chaos and no longer the loyalist battle brothers they once were fighting with. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think that makes the most sense. So we're not going to have Jagatai. We're going to have a Stormseer. So it'd be Psychic Hood and a Force Sword we need to think about. We can ignore Jagatai for now. I mean, some Golden Keshik would be cool along the lines, but right now I don't think they necessarily fit the theme of the Mantis Warriors. The Ebon Keshig kind of makes sense, because, again, the lore of the Mantis Warriors. And Tartaros has always been a suit of armor I've associated with Mantis Warriors. An Ebon Keshig cohort may take up to 5 Power Glaive and Legion Tartaros Terminator armor. Okay. Oh, they got Relentless, Karash, Stubborn, Feel No Pain, 5+. Karash and 5 Feel No Pain will always be applied to any units in this Rite of War. A Land Speeder would be fun. Maybe I should see if I can get a another one of these boys. I'm not repainting this one for yet another time, and I also think it thematically fits quite well into my Emperor's Children army anyway. But yeah, speeders work. What does Chinsa's model look like? Converting Chinsa to be turns out to be a Mantis Warrior would be fun, I think. It's like, I think I'd need to swap the helmet. I think otherwise it wouldn't be too difficult. I mean, I could just use bare head, I guess. You keep repainting because you should be painting word bearers. Look, if people want me to paint word bearers, someone can commission me to paint word bearers. I'd be more than happy to. But until that happens, no. I have no intentions of collecting word bearers for myself. There's one thing as well, is like I could probably bullshit my way into explaining why. Because the Mantis Warriors had a lot of different forces that were painted up in different colours, like pre-Jagatai's discovery as well. If I had to find a way to like forcefully wedge the Mantis Warriors in, I probably could. Let's have a look at the Rights of War. For the legions more generically. See if there's something here that also fits. It's like when I initially was thinking about it, the Legion Recon Company sounds like it would fit as well. So, Legion Reconnaissance Squads and Legion Scout Squads in a detachment using this Right of War do not have the Support Squad special rule. So you can just take Legion Recon Squads and Legion Scout Squads. So you know the Space Marines with sniper rifles or melee weapons. Like bolt gun and pistol, bolt gun and dagger. Legion Seeker Squads may be taken as non-compulsory troop choices, and Seeker Squads would be very thematic as well. A player whose army includes at least one detachment using this road war may re-roll any dice they roll to see which player takes the first turn or attempting to seize the initiative. That compared that on top of the ability to roll 2 dice and choose the highest from the White Scars is really funny. Think about it, right? And it's like we have a roll off and I get to roll 2 dice, pick the highest, and get a re-roll on top of that as well. And you know, it's not like this has been written intentionally with that in mind as well, because it's like players whose army includes at least one detachment using this right to war may re-roll any dice they roll to see which player takes the first turn, or when attempting to seize the initiative. That's really funny. I can basically always force myself to have the first or second turn depending on what I want. Yeah, that's 3 dice rolls I get to make in order to beat your dice roll. No unit in attachment use this right to war may includes any mods. Heavy subtype may be deployed on the battlefield during deployment and must be placed into reserves. Yeah, that works. Attachment user strike wall may not select any fortification choices. I don't think anyone does. And all compulsory troop choices in a detachment using this right wall must be Legion reconnaissance squads or Legion scout squads. That's also fine with me. Two reconnaissance squads would work fine. I refuse to run Pride of the Legion, so we just won't look at that. Tank armies don't really make any sense. Brethren of Iron doesn't make any sense. Fury Ancients should not exist. Okay. Oh, a Legion Seeker squad. By default, it's a 5-man unit. They come with Kraken bolters, with the Tempest and Scorpius ammunition types. They have the Mark for Death special rule, precision shots on a 4+, and infiltrate. This is a unit I think I'd be taking regardless of what Rite of War I'm running, because this just screams Mantis Warrior to me. And, you know, the idea of having 2 reconnaissance squads or 2 scout squads, guys with sniper rifles sat at the back, and then 4 units of seeker squads right up in your face, sounds like a very good idea and a thematic one, I think, for a Mantis Warrior army. So they also have the skirmish unit type as well. So they can spread out to have a 3-inch unit of coherence. And ignore difficult terrain, I think it is. In terms of movement, I need to double check that one. The unit can take melter bombs, can swap their they can take a combi weapon, a magna mini, or a minor combi weapon. They can take a chainsword, a heavy chainsword, or a nemesis bolter. The magna combi weapon can also be a disintegrator as well, which I feel would be very thematic for such a retro and old school Space Marine chapter like the Mantis Warriors, which have been around since Rogue Trader era. And then yeah, it's just the usual stuff. So a Seeker squad is definitely something I want. What makes a Kraken Bolter special? Let's have a look at war gear. So a Kraken Bolter is 30-inch range, strength 4, AP 4. The Tempest rounds are 18-inch, strength 3, AP 6. Assault 3 ignores cover. Scorpius rounds are 24-inch, strength 5, AP 4, assault, breaching 4+. Nice. So yeah, having an army made mostly out of Seekers would be quite good for a Mantis Warrior army. And I don't necessarily need to be a melee-focused army because it's White Scars. The ability to outmaneuver people on the battlefield simply because of having an 8-inch movement by default is quite nice. But it would definitely add an edge to melee stuff, because that puts you in the next bracket up for charge bonuses for your movement characteristic. So that's definitely something to think about. Right, yeah, American dates. Right, yeah. Hey Mick, how's it going? So, yeah, Seeker Squads would be very useful. Question is, what do I do to make a Seeker Squad look unique? Like, what do I do to our bolters to make them look obviously different? As with the Alpha Legion, there's one of the guys who was infiltrating the Emperor's Children. You know, it's like their bolters. You can tell they're Kraken bolters. Because they have the double barrel stuff going on. Also ignore the paint chipping. I tried to see if I could just brush away paint enemies because I need to strip them down anyway. You know, it's like it's that straightforward, like double-barreled gun. So yeah, I could add a silencer. I might see what 3D printable files there are out there. I think I might turn to it. Also, another thing I've been thinking about is one of the things that made the Mantis Warriors unique as well. And again, it's like we're just like objectively more interesting than most of the other chapters during the Bad Ab War. Is the fact that they had a lot of auxiliary units. Like a lot of the planets in which they protected and looked after, the people really stood up and helped the Mantis Warriors out. So it would be a good opportunity to add in a Imperial Cults and Militia force as well, alongside the Mantis Warriors. Which would also be a good opportunity to put in for more heavier weapons. Because I can see it's like, you know, weapons teams in, like, you know, concealed positions being operated by the locals. Being, you know, an option. Oh yeah, well I think we'll do with these boys, these 3 sprues, is we'll make 3 Seeker Squads. Well, 1 10-man Seeker Squad and 1 5-man Seeker Squad. But I'm going to want to do some research on what parts to get. And like what parts we should use to put them together. I know this stream's gone completely off like the planned thing to do, I figured it'd be a good idea to actually look through what I had for the army first and what we'd actually want to do with them. So I'm probably going to rename this on YouTube later. Something like making a 40k army for the Horus Heresy or something. Yeah, I was looking through my bits box. Well, sorry, not bits box, my pile of shame. It's like what stuff I actually have to build. And it's these guys. I have a bunch of Mark 6 Marines to build. I also have quite a lot of Cataphracti Terminators. I'm not really sure how I've amassed so many Cataphracti Terminators because I've never bought a box. Well, the last time I intentionally bought a box of Cataphracti Terminators, it was whilst the first edition of Heresy was around when they'd just been released in 7th edition. But I've ended up with a surprisingly large amount of Cataphracti Terminators. Just from like trades and swaps I made with people. Like, I'm not even kidding, it's like, okay, well, let's ditch that sprue. But like all of these sprues are just, you know, Cataphracti waiting to be built. Catch you later, Mick. And it's like, I don't know which armies to really put them in. Because I already have quite a lot of Cataphracti Terminators in my Emperor's Children. I don't think I need more. I need more Tartarus Terminators in that army. Just so I have something that can potentially keep up with Lucius in terms of a strike force. I already have enough Cataphracti to fill up a Spartan, so I don't really need more than that. I guess the Mantis Warriors could have some. I mean, I guess it works. It's a shame Ebon Keshig can't be taken as Cataphracti Terminator anymore, because they used to be. And I know a lot of my White Scar friends online were upset that the Ebon Keshig couldn't take Cataphracti Terminator armor anymore. I used to have a lot of fun ages ago with a dual Lightning Claw Cataphracti Terminator squad I used to use solely for the purpose of bullying tactical squads and other, you know, power armor equipped units. That was a lot of fun. You know, it's like I had a friend who played a fairly infantry heavy Space Wolf army, and what I'd do is wait for the battle lines to really like tighten up, and then I'd choose to try and bring the Cataphracti Terminators on from reserve and just slam them down right in front of or behind his power armored guys, and then just go cut through them, just blending them with my Mantis Warrior Cataphracti. So maybe I might do that again. Maybe I'll make a unit of those guys purely just for the nostalgic sake of it. That could be fun. And also, Cataphracti moving at the normal 7-inch movement would be quite nice, because that's what the White Scars would allow them to do instead of a 6-inch movement they would, because they're heavy. Yeah, we'll do that, I think. As at least just for the like nostalgia appeal. Because those guys, that squad in particular, was well, repainted and rebuilt for the match against Chapter Master Varak, and they took part in the final assault that annihilated Varak's Kratos and sent Rogel Dawn running. So they're still kicking ass. They're just now doing that in Emperor's Children colours. Yeah, I love the look of Cataphracti. It's a very strong armor type. Like, it just looks cool. Okay, so the shopping list we come up with so far. Sorry, I know it's just, you know, this. I haven't got round to setting up my camera for us to like sit and talk again. So, you know, part of the setting up a new computer, well, setting up a computer as new again. It's one of the casualties at the moment. What other stuff do I have laying around that could be used? They still have the Heroes of the chapter models to build. Plus the executor. I'm not sure he would fit the Mantis warriors. I was kind of thinking of using this guy for the Emperor's Children, but I already have plenty of Emperor's Children characters at this point. What arm is this guy meant to have? He is wearing Mark 6. Oh, I think it's this arm, isn't it? The Stormbolter. I think he has potential to be turned into a Mantis warrior. This guy with a Power Fist and the axe. That body I'm not too sure about. We have some Forge World Mark IV heads. The Mark IV Command Squad to use as well. I think would work relatively well. Although if we are going Mantis Warrior, we could always use one of the White Scar Forge World heads, potentially. Where are my clippers? Let's cut them out and just mess around with some parts. God, I forgot how bad working with fine casting is. Yes. Pile of Shame and Backlog are basically the same thing. Also, hello there. Welcome on in. As basically the reason why I'm doing this stream is I have a lot of models and I'm not really sure what I want to be doing with them because like my interests, my plans for projects have kind of shifted. And so what I thought was going to be something I wanted to do months ago is no longer something I'm going to do. So it's like one of those things was I had a plan to build a Horus Heresy army, which is going to be a mix of all of the traitors from Istvan 3. So the Emperor's Children, the Death Guard, World Eaters, what's the other legion? Oh, and the Lunar Wolves as the traitors. And you know, it's like have like the, you know, defining characters of each of those traitor legions. So I've been chipping away at Lucius. Oh, you still need to put the head on this guy. Making Chaplain Charmosian. Been chipping away at Eidolon as well. Then making the Death Guard force to complement that, as well as the Lunar Wolves. And the World Eaters, but it's quickly dawned on me that if I were to do that properly and have allied detachments of the other 3 legions, I'd end up with an army that's far too big that I'd never really be using, and I personally don't like keeping models around I'm not actually going to be using. And it's like, so these guys, the heroes for chapter Finecast models, these are also models which I bought because I had plans for. It's like with the Emperor's Children, like with this guy is very fancy Mark 6. You can see how this guy would be fairly fitted into the Emperor's Children, but I also have far too many Emperor's Children character models and a Emperor's Children character that's, you know, in quotation marks of this generic with a sword and a combi bolter. It just doesn't really make any sense in my Emperor's Children army. Because also my Emperor's Children army is huge. As yeah, this is the only model from the Heroes of the Chapter I actually wanted, and I finished painting a long time ago. A guy which chat has affectionately named Zvidalon, because he's, you know, the second Eidolon and the wannabe Eidolon of his hammer and his obnoxiously smug face from the Emperor's Children head upgrades. Yeah, it's like when I've always looked at this model with a giant wing on him, and it's gone, that's just an Emperor's Children model. That's just Emperor's Children. So what I've done is this guy just taken the Emperor's Children head, barefaced head from the upgrade kit, and a Mark 6 backpack, and glued them onto him. And you know, he's a perfect Emperor's Children captain. Well, Centurion. But it's left me in a situation where I've got the rest of these guys and I'm not really sure what to do with them. So part of the trying to work out what to do in my backlog is working out what I want to do with the backlog now that my plans have changed. And so what we've been talking about this stream is reviving my Mantis Warriors army from 7th edition 40k and converting them into an army which is playable in the Horus Heresy. Because I don't really enjoy playing Warhammer 40k at the moment. 8th, 9th, 10th edition has progressively got less and less appealing to me as a rule set. So now playing the Horus Heresy pretty much exclusively as like the sci-fi game, with Warhammer the Old World and Bolt Action being the other two main games I play. And I'm trying to convince more people to play Battletech as well. Funnily enough, the game I've played the most this year is actually Battletech. Yeah, Battletech and Old World are the two games I've played most this year. I'm up to a kit bash right now, turning some Guardians into Fire Dragons, because dragons are both expensive and hideous. Yeah, there's certain units in the Eldar army which have aged very well, and I'm glad they're still around. And then there's units like the old Fire Dragons, which respectfully need to retire. You know, it's like I disagree with 40k theories on the idea that the warp spiders need to go. I think they still look quite cool. Well, that's the thing, right? Old 40k was never, you know, in a scale. And okay, I'll give you a bit more importance. Yeah. Yeah, right now we're putting together this guy. I can't remember what he's a master of. Just enough so we can see if he could look potentially good in a White Scars army. I haven't used this bottle of super glue in a while, so yeah, it's crazy how old some models are. Both for good and bad. Yeah, which of these helmets do I think would look best? I think this one, because it has the most normal Space Marine-y bits on it. What do we think of that idea? From an aesthetics point of view, what do you think about it? And of course, the head has to roll off the table. There we go. Marines are so vanilla to me, but I genuinely can't form much of an opinion. Well, that's also why I'm using like the older, fancier stuff that actually has detail, unlike Primaris Space Marines. And then also a 4-year-old head with this guy as well. It's just overall a lot more detail. Leave it there until someone else wakes up in chat. Yeah. You're not going to find much Xenos over here. I get a bit of a pre-warning. So yeah, when it comes to the sci-fi side of Warhammer, For me, it's mostly Astartes, with Legione as Astartes, Horus Heresy stuff. There's also Imperial Knights and Imperial Militia, so definitely not Imperial Guard, that I have as a medieval themed army. But then when it comes to the Old World, it is Skaven and Bretonnia. Yeah, it's like one of the big painting projects I got coming up will be the Pegasus Lord of the Duke on Royal Pegasus. Which is all primed up at the moment, awaiting the actual paint. But I've forced myself to not start working on the actual knights for my Bretonians until I finish all the peasants, because otherwise I'm one of those people who will do all the shiny stuff and then forget about the rest of them. Kind of why most of my Emperor's Children aren't actually painted, but all the characters are almost painted. Well, on that we can agree. I personally do not like Custodes. A, because they're boring, and B, because they shouldn't exist. They should always have stayed as an army, which is always mysterious and ominous, and should have stayed firmly in the Imperial Palace and away from 40k, especially. I can excuse them in Horus Heresy, but never as their own actual army. Yeah, one project I also need to finish working on at some point is repainting my Vostroyans for the Horus Heresy, because I'm repainting them up as the Geno 5-2 Chiliad, which is a Imperial militia, or an Imperial army regiment, which is featured in the book Legion. Which is the first book introducing the Alpha Legion, and on the artwork for the Geno 5-2 Chiliad, they look like the Vostroyan Firstborn. So I've been going through a process of painting up my Vostroyans up as a Geno 5-2. It's just, unfortunately, their color scheme is pink and yellow in fancy patterns on the clothing, so I'm kind of still trying to work out how to actually do that without driving myself insane trying to paint paint yellow over pink, because it's mostly pink clothing with yellow patterns on top of it. Right, I've just clocked the time. So no wonder I'm feeling tired. It's been a long, rambly stream, and we built a quarter of a model. But hey, I'm gonna wrap things up because I need to get some sleep. Because I need to be up very early in the morning. So thank you for popping by. Make sure to hit follow if you like Warhammer topics, like talking about stuff, building stuff. We will get onto some building and painting next stream, I promise. today's been a bit of a messy one because we've actually gone through the stuff I have in my pile of shame and then trying to work out what to actually do with it. That ended up being a discussion in how to make a 40k army for the Horus Heresy. And yeah, you know, hey Mish, on Saturday I might just force it through, because I'm really looking forward to that project. But we'll have some fun with that. But yeah, tomorrow we will be playing MechWarrior Online, as it is MechWarrior Fridays. I know that doesn't literate well, but hey, I didn't choose it. It's just a community thing we do. And the Battletech community is a bunch of us content creators get together for the whole 24 hours of Friday to make sure that someone's streaming MechWarrior Online for everyone. So hopefully you'll join me for regularly scheduled Big Stompy Robot shenanigans tomorrow. And then Saturday we will be working on the Redacted project. Redacted project. So yeah, you want to see that happen, make sure to pop by Saturday. We'll probably start a bit earlier and go for a bit longer because I'd like to get the model built within the stream session. But yeah, so that will be the plans for the next couple of streams. Sunday is probably going to be MechWarrior 5. Or I might push that to Monday. We'll see. We'll see how I feel on Sunday. Monday, we might have a... Sunday or Monday, we'll be having a look at the new MechWarrior 5 DLC. So I've been really looking forward to that. I love Duncan Fisher. He's one of my favourite characters, so glad to have a DLC in the new MechWarrior game focused around him. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah. Thank you all for popping by. Make sure to hit follow if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Make sure to join the Discord server if you want to have a say in what I do on days in which there isn't a specific thing we want to be covering. And if you really like what I do here, and you want to support me, consider doing so via Ko-fi. It's the best way to support any content creator if they've got it as an option. It certainly helps me out a lot. But there's also the usual ways like subscribing like Phasmatodius did today, or using the soundboard to harass and annoy me whilst playing video games. And yeah, if you would like to see me build and paint a model for you, I do also do commissions. If you are a Ko-fi member, there is actually a dedicated tab and section on my Ko-fi page for organising commissions as well. So if that's something you'd like to see me do, like for example the hypothetical word bearer army, if someone wants to see me paint word bearers, that's how you can go and do it. Or if you want, you know, a redacted Primarch to be built and painted for you, it's also the way to do it. Yeah, I'm up for painting and building whatever, as long as I don't have to keep it if it's something I don't like. And I promise I will give back whatever it is you commissioned if I do like it as well, but yeah. Anyway, with that all said and done, thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you had a lot of fun today. Hopefully the conversation's been interesting, the thought process, the exploration of the rulebook, and how that is going to be influencing how I do things has been interesting. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the Mantis Warrior project. I am as well. It's like, as you guys seem to actually be somewhat interested in this, and it's not just me going mad in, you know, Actually, I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad you guys seem to be interested in it as well as I am. Oh yeah. With that all said and done, I'm gonna wrap things up now. I've spent like 6 minutes trying to sign off a stream. I'm getting really good at this, aren't I? You can tell I've been doing this over a year. Oh god, it's been over a year and a half now. It's closer to 2 years at this point I've been doing this professionally. Dear god. I commend you who have been around this long. I'm not sure how you put up with me. I don't know how I put up with myself. But yeah. I'll see you tomorrow for some big stompy robot shenanigans. Good night.